Welcome to Film Talk Weekly Radio. This is Castle, your guest host with the Santa Fe International Film Festival, which we just wrapped up on Monday. And it's really exciting because we have one of our award winners here, Eva Thomas, with the film Nika and Madison. This was an award winner. This was Best Narrative Feature Jury Award at the film festival. And we'll talk about all the prizes you received. But Eva, hello. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And you just got back from the festival too.
I sure did.
Yeah, you're in Canada, joining us from Toronto.
Just outside of Toronto, right around the border of Ontario and Michigan is where my community is.
Okay, cool. There's so much to talk about. First of all, I sat at your table. I was lucky enough to sit at your table while you received the award, which was really fun. And I remember
And I
you,
was hiding in the back. I was hiding
yes.
away.
Yeah, the first thing you said is like, can I sit here? I'm kind of a back of the classroom girl, and I'm just like, me too. That's why I'm sitting here. So it was really awesome to get to watch you receive your award. Uh, I guess tell us how you came to submit to the Santa Fe International Film Festival.
Yeah, well, we had finished the feature, I guess locked cut in May. We had wanted to premiere at TIFF because that's where the short film Red Lights premiered at TIFF in 2023, and Nika and Madison is the extension of that short film. And I told my producers that I really wanted to submit to Santa Fe because I had a personal connection to the city, and absolutely pleased and over the moon when I got the invitation to screen at Santa Fe, and just as happy to be able to come back because it had been a really long time since I was back in the city, and it's just such a beautiful city, so beautiful.
I know. What is your personal connection?
Yes, I trained as an actress. I got a minor in theater at Arizona State University, and I went off to London, England to train to be an actress, and went to New York City and did drama school in New
Wow.
York City. And then I moved to LA because I wanted to work in film and TV, and I just kept getting cast at the time, it was a handful of years ago, in what we called the leather and the feather gigs, which is they wanted to put us in leather, put feathers in our hair, and put us on a horse. And I worked every October for every Thanksgiving commercial, and I was in like a number of soap operas as the Indigenous princess or whatever.
Wow.
But it was all these like really historical roles that I was going up for time and time again, and it just got really frustrating. And I remember thinking to myself that this is not going to change until someone starts writing something different, and oh, I guess I better learn to do that. And then shortly after that, came to Santa Fe to participate in the ABC Disney Film and Television Workshop at the Institute of American Indian Arts. And then I came back the second year to do a writing program. So I spent 2 summers in Santa Fe, and that's where I
Wow.
learned to write. I also directed my very first short film in Santa Fe. So I just feel Santa Fe has really wrapped me up and nurtured me as an artist, and that's why it was so meaningful to get the invitation to screen at the festival. But then to get the award was I just did not expect it, and what an honor, what a true honor.
I could tell you didn't expect it. You were like so surprised and excited at our table.
Well,
Uh,
I didn't know about the award. That's why they said make sure you're there.
okay.
But I did
Yes.
expect all of the things that came with it. I was like, oh, I might get a little statue. I didn't even think there would be money that would be attached when I walked into the door. I was like, oh, well, I'll get a little statue. That'd be nice. And then they started announcing some of the this short film winner is going to get $500. And then I remember thinking, oh, maybe I'll get $500. That's what I'm thinking
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
head, right?
yeah.
And then when they're like, this is our final thing, and I was like, oh, this is me. I'm gonna have to get up there and I'm gonna have to say something. And then
Hmm.
started name well, they said beautiful words about my film, which really just blew my socks off and really filled my spirit. And so the very nice things they said about my film. And then they started naming the award pieces or the monetary awards. And at every one I was like, oh my gosh, this, oh my gosh. And then this is money, and I'm oh my gosh, and I didn't have any idea that the award would come with anything at all. I thought I was just gonna get a cute little trophy to go home and show my family. But yeah, I was absolutely pleased. And it was cute because everyone at the table eventually sort of looked at me and they were like, is it you? And I'm like,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
me.
It was the biggest award of the awards brunch, and I think this was our first annual awards brunch of that kind with the ceremony and the glass awards. We always give out the prizes or some form of the prizes, but so you received a $60,000 Panavision camera package, $30,000 light and iron post production package, and $1,000 cash prize from Santa Fe Film Institute. So, do you have ideas what you're going to use those packages for?
Not at all.
Yeah,
Not at
but
all, except I'm going to make another movie. That's
yeah,
for
of
sure.
course,
So
of
it'll
course.
definitely get used. What was really nice is that Panavision was supplied us with our cameras for Nika and Madison.
Oh,
So
really?
full circle moment. Yeah.
How did that come about?
The DP, Jesse Wicklin, who had this is our second feature together. We had worked on Aberdeen together. He was the DP on Aberdeen, which I co-wrote and co-directed, and that premiered at TIFF in 2024. We This is our second film together, Nika and Madison. So he worked his connections, and they I think they liked the story, they liked our team, and they gave us a really good rate. So it's really nice to receive this award and that additional support from them.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. We'll get into the film a little bit and then a little and more after the break, but Nika and Madison is the film. It's a feature. Give us like the overview.
Yeah, Nika Madison is about two Indigenous women who have a violent encounter with the police when one Indigenous woman is about to be sexually assaulted by the cop, and the other one sort of stops that and saves her from that assault, and then they go on the run. So it's a bit like a Indigenous Thelma and Louise or Indigenous Queen and Slim, but yeah, two Indigenous women, and it's really at the heart of the story is it's really about their friendship. And when we first meet them, they're at a place where they've had some disconnection and some distance in their relationship. So through the process of the movie, we get to see them reconnect.
Yes, I have seen the film and I loved it. But still thinking about it. So it was filmed in Toronto?
Yeah, in the Greater Toronto Area, we call it the
Okay.
GT. Yes,
Okay.
and yeah, we filmed a lot of the stuff on a farm right outside of Toronto. It's the largest farm closest to the city center that still is, deemed a farm. And the family often would get like a lot of big Netflix things that would come through there, and they would pay really big money to be able to use the grounds for their projects. But we're a little
Mm.
independent Canadian film with,
Yes.
definitely low budget. And I think they met with us, and they liked me. They liked my story. I think they liked what I was trying to say, and they also gave us a really good rate. So just so many blessings and little angels looking after the project as to move it along, make it possible, and to manifest it. So now I could be here at Santa Fe screening it.
Yeah. I mean, it does take like so many different things to happen to make a film. And, you know, when people love your idea, like they will give you better rates or loan you space and, if it really speaks to them. So it's totally possible for the filmmakers out there, like, you can use your network to make your film, like it doesn't have to be like impossibly expensive if you have a great vision, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, I think a lot of young filmmakers come up and they're like, I need to look to people who I need to partner with those people who've already done it. I got to go to Hollywood and partner with those people or whoever. But I
Mhm.
think as artists, if we can look to who's like coming up alongside us and with us, and you're a writer, I'm a director, let's work on something together because filmmaking is not a solo activity. It is not a solo
Not at all. Yeah.
it's a team sport, and you have to make this film working with a lot of people, and learning to get along and learning to collaborate is a necessary part of the job. So always say to people who are like, I want to be a filmmaker, I say, find your people. Who are your people that you could come up together and rise together with?
Right. And relationships and keeping relationships and yeah, finding your people, I think it's a common thread with all the people we talk to on the show and just in the creative industry in general. And I'm a guest host for Gary Farmer and Jacques Paisner. And I think you had mentioned that you know Gary Farmer, or you met him in Santa Fe.
I sure did. When I was at the Institute of American Indian Arts, I was in the parking lot, and lo and behold, here comes Gary Farmer. And I had said that at the award ceremony. I was like, "You probably don't remember this, but I do." And growing up watching movies with Gary Farmer and just watching his career also as an actor and being so inspired by him, to have him, message me saying you made a good film. It was like, just really helped fill the space in my artist heart that's like, oh, maybe I'm not any good at this. That kind of support and that kind of encouragement really goes a long way.
Talk about the I'm not really good at this. That's imposter syndrome, right? And like so many great people have it. Like, how do you deal with that?
I mean, you have to act in spite of it, you know?
Yep.
Even when going to the award ceremony, I could feel my anxiety getting, heightened because I knew I had to say something. I knew I had to be up there and people would be taking pictures of me. My anxiety was getting all, I was just calm down. I was like, calm down, just go down there. There's probably going to be some good, spicy Mexican inspired breakfast down there. And sure enough, there was.
It was
Um,
good. Yeah.
and just try to, release the pressure that we put on ourselves, which is it's our own induced whatever. Um, and I had a fabulous time, and I got to see people who I hadn't seen in years, and meet people. Certainly Gary Farmer, reconnect with Gary Farmer, and I also got to meet Chris Eyre, who I'd never met before.
Yeah.
And that was oh so special because again, just like Gary Farmer, he he was one of the first Indigenous directors I ever saw do it with smoke signals, and that film was fundamental in my upbringing as an Indigenous young person, and still today is such an important movie in the lexicon of Indigenous cinema. And for him to, congratulate me. And then, after the award ceremony, he came to see my film. He even like, they were like, we're supposed to be at the airport, but we're going to come see your film.
Oh,
And
awesome.
just like that kind of like love and support. There is something really magical in the Indigenous film and television community, that there is this lovely supportive nature amongst us. And I was able to experience that in Santa Fe.
Oh, love it. So I want to hear more about. So I know this Nika and Madison is an adaptation of a short, Red Lights. Can you talk about that process, or how even Red Lights happened and then how it evolved into Nika and Madison?
Yeah, great question. A lot of people think that I made this short film and it was like, wouldn't it be a great idea if it was a feature? But in fact, I wanted to make the feature, but I knew no one would give me money. No one was going to give me money to make a movie, having never directed anything, And I had directed a couple of community docs and a short doc that I'd done at IAIA, but I had never directed anything scripted. And so I was like, how do people get their movies made? And I kind of read a few people's stories, and I was like, okay, I got it. A lot of people do a short film first, and then that gives them an opportunity to make a feature. So I'll just do that. So I made this short film, and it played at over 30 film festivals around the world. I think it won a couple of awards. I think it showed that I could direct, that I could tell a story, that I could work with actors. And it gave me a sample of my work that I could then go along with a great script to raise some money to make the feature. And that's exactly what I did.
Oh, amazing. That is a great path for filmmakers. There are some differences from Red Lights to Nika and Madison. So like so you already had the story for Nika and Madison
I
before?
I knew that I wanted to do an Indigenous Thelma and Louise. I didn't
Okay.
know like the story points or how it would like particularly go. I didn't know like
Hmm.
how it would end. I just knew that I wanted to do an Indigenous Thelma and Louise, or I often say Indigenous Queen and Slim, which is another American movie about a black couple who get an encounter with the law, and they also go on the run. So I knew I wanted to tell that, but I didn't know the how, the what, the when, the where, the why of it. So I made the short film first. But in both films, it's about two Indigenous women who have an encounter with the police. And also as a filmmaker and a writer, I think part of our job is like, what do you have to say?
Yeah.
What do you have to say about the world that we live in? What are you trying to say with your art? So in both cases, it's about the place where law enforcement meet Indigenous people, and I wanted to speak about that space and that place. And in Red Lights, that space is what we in Canada call the Starlight Tours. And it's a practice no, where police officers take vulnerable, often intoxicated Indigenous people out to the outskirts of town or way out of town, often in like sub-zero temperatures, and sadly leave them there to make their way back. And some of them have not made their way back. And some people have lived to tell this tale. And it's not just one city, like it's kind of happened sadly throughout Canada. And so that was sort of like the story space that I was working with in Red Lights. And then in the expansion into the feature, a couple things happened. Um, the two actresses that were in Red Lights, the plan always was that they would go on and we would do the feature together. That was always the plan. It was always the
Right.
dream. And then one of the actresses, who's a really good friend of mine, Ganyo Theo Horn, she got pregnant. And I knew she wanted a baby. She'd been talking about it for a long time. So I was thrilled. And
Uh-huh.
I at the time was like, okay, don't worry about it. I'll write it in. She's gonna, she's pregnant. She's got to drop out of school. No problem. It's gonna just be a problem. No problem. And then eventually she said, I'm not going to be able to run. What if you want me to jump off a building? Like, this is not going to be able to be possible.
Oh,
And then I was like, oh, okay. Okay. And so I had
yeah.
to recast. And so that it offered me an opportunity to make a change in the direction of the story, in the recasting of the actress and the reformatting of the characters. And in Nika Madison, the space that the story area that I'm talking about is sexual assault.
Right.
Yes. So that's so, but in both cases, certainly two Indigenous women encounter with the police. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, we don't want to give it all away. I
Yes.
feel like it does like cover a really serious topic and true, true life experiences. Um, I mean, it's very serious, but I feel like I left hopeful in the end, for sure. I mean, how did you decide to like go in that direction? Like, it could have gone down a very bad path, right?
Yeah. A
Yeah,
hundred and spoiler alert, a lot of these stories do go down this
I
really sad
know, I
path.
know.
Um, I because we have this missing and murdered Indigenous epidemic,
Yes,
for me, it was really important that these two Indigenous women, they lived. And and I just really kept to that. That was fundamental to the heart of the story that I was telling, because in that choice, I'm saying something, right? Not
right.
only did I want not only did I want to tell a story where people actually cared about these women, and
Hmm.
they cared about each other, and we could, and then hopefully the audience cares about them too. That was my hope, right? That they
I
would care about
cared
them
about
too.
them instantly. Like, I
Yes.
felt like I knew them instantly.
And so that great, it worked.
Yeah, it
My
did.
evil plan worked.
Uh-huh.
Um, but because that was the whole idea, was that I would you would go on a journey with these girls, that you would learn to understand them, maybe cheer for them, root for them, empathize with them, and then and through that help create a connection, right? But I knew that also I needed like some, I didn't, this is a sad topic, like there's like a
It
lot of
is.
sad things that happen in the movie. I didn't want people to leave the audience being like, oh man, that really sucks for them. I wanted something to feel uplifting in the story ending that we have. I feel like that, but people have come out saying that I didn't expect to feel so like lifted by the story.
Right. And it's clear that it was a choice because we know how many of these stories end, unfortunately. And
Yes.
so I thought that was a really interesting choice. And like, I mean, it made me feel hopeful, and but also know there's a problem,
Yes.
too.
Yes, yes, yes. And again, I also think a reflection of who I am as a person is I like to think I'm a hopeful person. I like to
Hmm.
think that I have a positive outlook most of the time, not
Yeah.
always,
Yeah. I would
most
say
of the
so.
time.
Yeah.
And so the film is a reflection of me as an artist. It's a reflection of who I was at the time that we made the film, and a whole series of circumstances and situations help craft this film. And I think a different and you're gonna see it through my lens. And a
Hmm.
different director, you'd see it differently because
Of course.
they come to it from a different space. So in that way, I think the film reflects a value system that I have.
Yeah. And you talked a little before about how you were an actress and weren't seeing the roles for Indigenous and Native people that you would like to see. So you're like, I'm gonna write those roles. So talk about the screenwriting of this piece, of your screenwriting process in general.
Yeah, I when I was sort of making the transition from actor to writer, and then producer and then eventually director, there's a whole bit of a skill set that I had to learn. I had to learn how to write. Oh, there's a format here, and there's expectations here about, getting your story going, and conflicts and things of that nature. And I had written a version of the script that I actually really liked. I really liked it. I wanted to show in the script that look how the indigenous people come out for the community. Look at how they're helping these young women. And I gave it out to a few people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, the script, we like the script, it's great." But a lot of the feedback I was getting was, "Oh, but it just seems like everyone solves their problems." And in my mind, I was like, "Look at how the community comes out for them," you know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and in my goal to sort of like illustrate how the community supports these women, I was sort of undermining the agency of my two lead characters, which is exactly the opposite of what I had hoped to do.
Hmm.
And at the time I was like figuring out how am I going to go about doing this. I was also getting ready to go into co-direct a feature, Aberdeen, which premiered at TIFF in 2024. And I think my producer at the time knew that I was going to go into a wormhole of directing, and that I might need help on the script. And he said, "Do you want me to find somebody to help you with this script?" And I said, "Yes, I would." It was about capacity. It was about, I had a schedule that I was on in my mind about when I wanted to make this film. And I said, yes, I would like someone to help me. So he had connected me with Canadian writer Michael McGowan, who is a prolific Canadian screenwriter and very experienced. And I'm not exactly sure why he decided to help me, but he did. We took a meeting, and I told him about the kind of story that I wanted to tell, and he listened to me, and he agreed to work with me. Like, again, these small blessings, these little angels, these little guardians, these little stewards along the way. And he really he was really a fast writer. So he really sharpened me because I had to level up to keep up with him, if you will.
Sure.
And what he did was he helped me shape the story that gave the girls agency and to kept it kind of be thrilling. And he was really fundamental in putting up those major story goalposts throughout the script. And then when I had to step in to do some of the indigenous influences, or the indigenous flair, if you he graciously stepped back and allowed me to have that space. So he taught me a lot about writing. He taught me a lot about story. He taught me a lot about collaboration and allyship and partnership, and went really like above and beyond, because Michael McGowan is also a director. So he really mentored me as a director. He drove into the city from wherever he lives outside the city, which is not, close. And he drove his little car into town for location scouts. And he was there for like the big meetings. And he'd ask me, "What days are you nervous about?" And I said, "This day, this day, this day." And then he'd came out and make sure that I was okay. He really went above and beyond anything that he ever needed to do. He could have just read the script with me, co-wrote, and then sent me on my way, but he didn't. He really cared about me as an artist. And I'm really proud of the movie that we made, and I'm really proud of that partnership. And I just love him dearly, respect him so much, and he has given me a real gift in helping to elevate me.
That's amazing. And I know it's not just, yes, he is a generous person and, a creative who wants to be involved, but he wouldn't do that if he didn't believe in your story, I'm sure, and like, love working with you. So it's like being in the right place and having
Yes,
the right all the, what do people say? Like, luck is like being prepared and in the right place, and all those things come together, you know?
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And often will say like it really takes your whole life energy to make a movie. Like you
Oh God. Yeah.
sometimes you're pushing that boulder up the hill all by yourself sometimes. But a lot of it is done in collaboration. And your ability to sort of like manifest these things in your life, you
Sure.
know? You have to kind of have a you kind of have to like this is like a job of faith, really.
Uh-huh.
I'm praying for good weather. I'm praying that people get along. I'm praying that I get my shots. Like even
Yes.
if you look in my thank yous, after I thanked all the people at the bottom, it says the creator. Because so much of this movie I was in prayer. Like, please help me, creator, help us. Creator, we
Right.
need good weather.
Yes.
Um, creator, I need some wind right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of that is just the connecting to your internal creative energy space, well, creator, whatever you want to call it, be connecting to
Hmm.
that, and then people come along to help you along the way.
Hmm. And being open to that because you were open to taking on a writer to help you, like instead of saying, I'm going to do it all myself, like, and trusting. I mean, that sounds like it was just a magical connection there. Like the person that connected you knew both of you well enough to put you
Yeah,
together.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and that was Tyler Levine, our one of our producers, who had worked with Michael McGowan on All My Puny Sorrows, which premiered at TIFF a handful of years ago, and had worked with me on Red Lights. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, again, that
Hmm. Hmm.
partnership, collaboration.
Yeah. So you've screened all your films at TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival.
Yeah, I had a short film, Red Lights, in 2023, and then Aberdeen, which is a feature that I co-wrote and co-directed, screened there last year, and then this year with Nika and Madison. So I guess
Okay.
3 years.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was also blessed to participate in the TIFF Filmmakers Lab in 2023 with this project. So again, another place where somebody's nurturing me as an artist and the projects that I'm trying to manifest into the world.
And it sounds like, your hometown and that film community is really, supportive of your work as well. It must
Yeah.
be cool to screen in your hometown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, certainly, I don't live in Toronto proper. I live outside
But
of Toronto.
near
I'm there a
your,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm there a lot. It feels like I live
Uh-huh.
there. But yes, I do feel like hometown girl is done well for sure. And the fact that I'm a local filmmaker and they supported me and my work is absolutely 100% because I'm the girl next door, I guess, if you will. Yeah.
What did you call the area around there? The
The GTA is the Greater Toronto area. Yeah,
Okay,
so it's
okay,
Toronto and the suburbs, if you will. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, great. Let's see, what else? I have so many questions. So you went through many, in addition to going to like traditional school, you went to ASU, you said, but then you completed all these other programs along the way. And it sounds like maybe they all came together and created who you are now. Uh, can you talk about some of your like educational workshop lab history and how that came to be?
Yeah, I always say to people who ask me for advice, I still apply to everything. I'd apply to everything, every
Uh-huh.
grant, every opportunity.
Uh-huh.
Um, and because each one grew me as an artist. So, and I think I used to do that even when I was a teenager. Like I applied for drama school programs when I was in university. I studied abroad. I did semester at sea. Went to
Cool.
drama school in London.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I went to drama school in New York City. I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And then while I was there, I did an internship at Broadway Dance. So it was really
Oh.
about how can I sharpen my tools? How can I expand my skill set? Even when I was young, I knew I was an overachiever. I think even now I think I'm still a bit of an overachiever. But yes, and so I went to Webber Douglas, which was a drama school in London, England. And then I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I trained 2 summers at the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe. I did my undergrad at ASU, including minor in theater, and I did my master's at UCLA in Indigenous Studies with an emphasis in Indigenous people in film and television.
Okay.
And then of course when I came back to Canada, I have dual citizenship. My mom's from the States.
Okay.
from Canada. And up here, I've many programs, many different writing programs, many different Indigenous opportunities to shadow directors. One of the reasons I came back to Canada at the time, because I was living down in LA, trying to struggle to be an actress, busy once, 1 month a year, was I could see at the time that there were a lot of Indigenous actors that were working. Well, not a lot. The Indigenous actors that were working at the time were all coming from Canada. Adam Beach, um, Gary Farmer, Graham Greene, Tattoo Cardinal. They were always like, look at,
Mhm.
I was down there, I was like, look at these people are coming from Canada. What's going on in Canada?
Yeah.
I should go up there and see what's happening. So I came back to Canada, and at that time, there was the Indigenous Screen Office, which is a funding body and an advocacy body here in Canada, and they help to support Indigenous films and Indigenous storytelling. And it allowed me opportunities to shadow on set and see directors doing it and see that it was possible. They funded me in my own projects and development. They actually they were the first money into both my short film Red Lights and Nika Madison. So having that funding body with funds dedicated to Indigenous stories, I think one of the main reasons that I've been able to develop as an artist and as a filmmaker the way that I have is because there is a support system. Again, angels along the way.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And we're back. This is Film Talk Weekly Radio. I'm your guest host, Castle, with the Santa Fe International Film Festival. I'm here with Eva Thomas of Nika and Madison, that won the Best Narrative Feature Jury Award at the most recent Santa Fe International Film Festival. It was the West Coast premiere. Is that true? Yes,
That's
I think yes. And it's kind of our biggest. It is our biggest award, and it's also your first solo directorial debut, right?
that's right.
So we've talked a lot about, Indigenous Native representation in film and television. It's something that you've studied on technically in school, but all of your work leading up to now has been focused on telling Indigenous stories or telling even like complicated narrative stories, showing Indigenous and Native people as more than just like the stereotypical, what like the acting roles you were getting in the past. So I'm loving seeing all these Indigenous stories lately, like with like Reservation Dogs, Dark Winds. Like I'm really loving all of these stories, and I love Nika and Madison, but to me it reminded me of my best friend growing up. Also, like and how different we were and are. We still talk, but we have totally different lives. Enough about me. Let's talk about. I want to talk about the casting process and the whole Indigenous team that I think is behind this.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you saying that because really a lot of my work and what I strive to do as an artist is to care and about Indigenous representation. And because it's so important. I didn't have a lot of Indigenous representation growing up. And when you don't see yourself, it really has an impact on your self-esteem. It really impacts what you
Right.
think you do, if you will.
Mhm.
So that's really important to me is the Indigenous representation. And I'm so thrilled that there are so many Indigenous stories that are coming up, both in the United States and Canada, across Turtle Island, but in internationally. It just pleases me so much because this is not the world that I grew up in. And as a person now who can hire actors and create roles, it's really meaningful, the work that I get to do. The casting. I mentioned we had done a short film called Red Lights, and in that film was Ellen Jade, who plays Nika,
Yes.
and so in that film was Ganyo Theo Horn, who many people might know from Reservation Dogs. She plays Deer Lady, and
Yes.
and they worked together on a comedy up here in Canada called Letterkenny, and they were real
Oh,
friends in real life. And so in
okay.
that short film, I can almost feel their friendship through
Uh-huh.
every frame. And when I had to finally accept that she was going to be unable to do my feature, I was like, oh,
Hmm.
but the friendship. And so I called up Ellen Jade, who plays Nika, and I said, who are you really friends with in real life? And she said, I'm real friends with Star Slade. And then I
Cool.
great because she's on the top of my list. And
Oh,
so, and I had auditioned her, and that's true. She
love
was at the top of
that.
my list. But the fact that they were friends pleased me so much because I really think what people are responding to is the authenticity of their
I
friendship.
could feel it. I could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so that made my job as a director certainly a little bit easier because
Mm-hmm.
it kind of lent to a playfulness in their spirit. They actually did have a history and they actually did care about each other. And
Mm-hmm.
when they had those tougher scenes, they could really go there because there was a trust that was inherent amongst them. And my casting director, when we were casting the detectives, said we'd like to go out to Amanda Brugel from Handmaid's Tale.
Yes,
There are
yes.
many other film and
She was
television
great.
projects. Yes, and Sean Doyle, who also is a steadily working Canadian actor. At the time, I thought to myself, they're never going to do my movie. These are big time working actors here. They're not going to come do my little independent Canadian film. And the casting director was like, no, 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 no. They like independent Canadian film. They support it. Make a little video and we'll send it to them with your short film and see how it goes. And so I did just that. I made a little video and I sent my short film, and it must have worked because they both took meetings with me. And I told them, I was like, I'm an actor's director, I'm an actor myself, and I'm collaborative by nature, and the role's not done yet, and we're gonna create it together. And graciously, they both agreed to come on. And what I learned is that this was the third project that they had worked on together.
Oh,
And
okay.
so again, they had a previous
Yes, yes.
relationship. They trusted each other. When
Mm-hmm.
they have to have those, combative scenes, they can really
Mm-hmm.
go there. And so again, just made my job a little bit easier as a director. And what I'm so proud of about the film is not only do we have Indigenous representation in front of the camera, but we have a lot of Indigenous representation behind the camera. My DP was Indigenous. My first camera assistant was Indigenous. My entire hair and makeup team was Indigenous. My costume designer was Indigenous. The composer was Indigenous. And every song in the movie, with the exception of one, every song in the movie, with the exception of one, is by an Indigenous artist.
Oh,
So I just, as much Indigenous talent and ideas and work that I could share with the world is what I wanted to do with Nika and Madison. I'm just so proud of the movie that we
you
made.
should be. You should be. I loved it, and I want everyone to see it. Like, I know you've been picked up for distribution by Game Theory Films. Like, how are we going to see this movie? Are you still on the festival route?
Yeah, we're still on the festival circuit. Have a handful of festivals this weekend, and into November we will screen in Los Angeles in mid-November at the Red Nation Film Festival. I'm trying to see about maybe coming back to Santa Fe with it again. Maybe I got a chance to go visit the Institute of American Indian Arts when I was there on Monday, and kind of like, whoa, this campus has grown so much since I've been
Uh-huh.
here and spoke with a few people, and there might be some interest in bringing it back to Santa Fe. So, and then we're working on a theatrical in the US as well. So stand by, but
Yes.
I anticipate we'll be on the festival circuit for a few more months.
Okay. So this was your directorial debut.
Solo,
I know, what's that?
solo directorial debut because
Solo. Okay, let's start
I
over.
co-directed. Yeah.
Since we are like, once I start just starting over, then I'm just like, I make flubs after that. Okay.
Hey, we got to 36 minutes and we didn't have any
I know,
flubs.
I know.
Good. It's good.
Yeah. Three, two, one. So this was your first solo directorial debut. That means like the directing is all on you. It sounds really intense to me. And there's some pretty serious scenes in this film. Like, talk about directing those. It's easy to direct the two friends, during the good times, but what about, the some of the tougher scenes?
Yeah, particularly in this film, because it deals with sexual assault, there's a scene in there sort of depicting it, and so we had to talk about how we were going to shoot that and the sensitivities around that, and then certainly there are other scenes that are emotional and can be triggering for an actor. And I guess I think I just fundamentally understood as a director that I was asking these actors to go to places that were dark. And because of that, I was really mindful of their well-being. I think not only just on this project, but I try to be that way on all projects is like, because I used to be an actor too. I
Right.
kind of,
You
and I think that's
know.
why I call myself an actor's director because I really just, that's my favorite part. That's my favorite
Uh-huh.
part is working with the actors. And so, and getting that performance. I'm still growing in my, my visual language as a director, but me and actors, we are simpatico.
Huh?
And so I fundamentally understood that I was asking them to do something that was difficult. And so, particularly around the assault sequence, uh, when we had narrowed down our cop who was going to be the bad guy, I reached out to the actress and I said, "This is who I'm thinking. What do you think?" And she took a look at the, the audition, and she's like, "I feel comfortable, but I would like to meet him." And so then they met before I cast. She was comfortable, and they developed their own relationship and amongst themselves. And then I also had a stunt coordinator who helped coordinate the stunt that happens in that sequence, along with the
Hmm.
intimacy coordinator.
Oh,
And those
good.
two as a team, and with the actors to help kind of choreograph the pieces. And I also just think that my crew understood that we were making a difficult movie. So on those days, they were respectful and allowed space for the actors to do their work. And because I'm an Indigenous set, we had smudge available as well for the actors
Oh,
to start their day
great.
if they required it, or if after a scene they wanted to sort of cleanse their energy, because the body doesn't know that that's not real.
Right.
Um, and I've heard too many stories of actors being traumatized through their work on set, and I just would not want to do that if I could at all prevent it. And
Right.
so every day we had smudge on set, and that was held in our costumes department, and they would go around every morning offering that to the crew, and Indigenous and non-Indigenous people alike
I
would
love
participate
that.
in that cleansing, which is also depicted in the movie, the smudging ceremony.
Hmm.
Um, and then that was available for the actors to get that stuff off of them. So my hope is that they didn't take it home, because actors go to those dark places for the benefit of storytelling, for the benefit of us being able to go on that journey with them. And it's they do put a lot of their own like spirit and energy and
Sure.
soul into the work. Yeah.
I love that. You are the actor's director. We're out of time. I feel like I could talk to you forever. Uh, I can't wait to see this film in theaters and tell people to go see it because I just loved it. And like I was kind of scared at some of the topic and like from the trailer. But then as soon as in the trailer, I think it shows that like, you know, uh, Nika hits him over the head. So then I'm like, okay, I can watch it. Like I know, like he doesn't, you know, keep going. So, uh,
And I think I'll just say one more thing is that
yeah.
there are moments of comedy in the film, or
Hmm.
moments of lightness, and I think that's a bit of a hallmark in my work is I'll tell you a story that's dramatic, but I'll throw in a few areas of lightness because I think we need the
Hmm.
comedy to get through the darkness.
Because
So
that's real life.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was so good. I can't wait to see what else you do. Can't wait to see this in theaters. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm so glad I could share and sit at that table and watch you get the award for this. It's just really amazing. Uh,
Thank you so much. I'm
Thank
really
you.
grateful for your time and this opportunity to talk about my work.
Yeah. How do we follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Miss Eva Thomas.
Miss Eva Thomas. This has been Film Talk Weekly Radio. I'm your guest host, Castle Searcy. Eva Thomas with Nika and Madison. See you back in Santa Fe soon.